made a little bit earlier, that in making a statement, no matter if you made it offhandedly, that look, half the judges of the Supreme Court have been corrupt, what you've also done is cast a shadow on the other half. Diptosh, is this something that worries you? That in trying
Mr. Bhushan is saying completely that 8 of the 16 judges are unclean. Okay. They have been corrupt in the past. 8 of the 16 Chief Justices of India, not just judges. Now, he's also saying that 6 of them are very honest. I think it's a little unfair to those 6 very honest judges, because it's very good if he identifies them. We will know that.
But then by default he also identifies those who then he'll end up with a contempt of court because you have de facto named people.
Well, actually, in my supplementary affidavit, I have identified at least 6 of the former Chief Justices regarding whom we have or we had documentary evidence. When I made that statement, I have pointed out that my assessment is based on some documentary evidence, some oral evidence, and some circumstantial evidence. And documentary evidence is very difficult to get by against judges because no investigation against judges is permitted by anybody. There is no disciplinary authority which can carry out any investigation against judges. Even an FIR can't be registered against a judge. No criminal investigation can be done against a judge without the prior written permission of the Chief Justice of India because of this judgment rendered by the Supreme Court in Veeraswamy's case. And if anybody openly speaks about corruption in the judiciary or about corruption of a judge, he is making himself liable for contempt.
Justice Parker, you heard Prashant Bhushan. The government of India has just passed a law to protect whistleblowers who speak up about corruption in the government and other parts of the state mechanism. But what Prashant Bhushan just outlined is that the same cannot be done in the judiciary. Now, does this bother you? Because as someone who respects and loves the judiciary, as I'm sure you do, you'd want to keep it as clean as possible. Wouldn't the kind of transparency that Prashant Bhushan is speaking of and Dr. Kashyap is speaking of help your cause of keeping the judiciary clean and above suspicion?
No, surely. If there are any instances found or the evidence found against any judge, maybe of any court, even of apex court, that has to come to the light, because otherwise, we can't keep the judiciary clean from this, from the vice of corruption. That has to be there. And the corruption also have various types. Even whereas they say face law is there and all that. So that has to be brought to the notice of the public. That is undoubtedly so. But if there is enough evidence in that regard. But no, what I said was that no reckless allegation should be made.
Yes, sir.
No false allegation should be made.
Yes, sir. We take that point, but you know, it's easy enough, Dr. Kashyap, to say things should proceed against those who are corrupt. But the point is, the fact is that it is actually very difficult to impeach a judge. It is very difficult to take any action against a sitting judge.
You see, first I would like to clarify that there is no provision in the Constitution of India for impeachment of a judge. This is a common myth. The advocates indulge in it, use the term impeachment, and perhaps the judges themselves started using the term impeachment. It has no constitutional sanction. Impeachment is only for the President of India and not for lesser mortals.
So even if a judge who was alleged to be corrupt, was proven to be corrupt, how could you proceed against him?
He can be removed through a proceeding of removal, which is provided for in the Constitution.
Which we loosely calling impeachment, I suppose.
It is not impeachment.
But it is not
because impeachment is only for impeachment is only for the President of India. And perhaps judges started the using word impeachment for themselves.
Let's just say the process
because they wanted to put themselves at par with the President.
But the process of removing a corrupt judge is extremely complicated. We have the case of Justice Dinakaran, who has serious allegations of corruption against him. His name was recommended to the government of India for the Supreme Court. The government of India turned it down. The matter's gone back to the collegiate of judges. Now, if they re-recommend him to the government of India, you have a serious constitutional crisis, don't you?
This matter has been discussed in different fora. the Constitution Commission. In the Constitution Commission, we made certain recommendations. There has been the idea of a National Judicial Commission. There has been the idea of an Inquiry Commission. The idea of a Judicial Ombudsman has been discussed for a long time, but no action has been taken in that regard.
Prashant Bhushan, what would you say to that? The idea that there should be some sort of external watchdog on the judiciary, an ombudsman perhaps. What are the solutions? What is the approach that you would like to see?
No, we have been saying for a long time that we need to have a full-time constitutional body to deal with complaints against judges, kind of complaints commission or a judicial performance commission. This could be, but it has to be a full-time body, not an ex officio body of sitting judges and law minister, prime minister, because they don't have the time to deal with these issues. You need to have 5 members. We have suggested a model. The chairman can be nominated by all the judges of the Supreme Court, second member by all the chief justices of the High Court, third member by the cabinet, fourth member by a committee of leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, Raj Sabha, Speaker and Vice President, and a fifth member by Chief Election Commissioner, Chairman National Human Rights Commission, Chief Vigilance Commissioner, etc.
So a highly respected but autonomous group. Justice Parker, how does that sound to you?
Yes. As far as my view is that so far as the corruption in the lower judiciary is concerned, that is taken care of by the High Court, and similarly if there is anything untoward going on in any High Court, that can be taken care of by the apex court, Supreme Court. But of course, as far as Supreme Court is concerned, there of course it may need to have independent commission to in fact investigate the thing. And,
so I guess that is the answer, Dr. Kashyap. Our show is titled "Who Will Judge the Judges?" and that seems to be the proposal that we have here, that there needs to be some sort of autonomous independent body constituted by various elements that would be in charge of overseeing the judicial system. Is that something that you would subscribe to as yourself?
Yes, as I said, in the Constitution Commission, of which I was a member and chairman of the drafting committee, we made that suggestion and I entirely subscribe to it. The composition can be discussed. There can be different views as to how it should be constituted, who should go into it. But the basic idea of a body, I think, should be accepted and implemented.
Okay, so there we have it. The judiciary in India, unfortunately, no longer as respected as it once was. Sadly, perhaps in need of an external watchdog who would be able to monitor it for corruption and so that it maintains the highest standards. We're completely out of time. We'll have to thank all our guests for being with us today. Don't go away. There's much more news coming up on the other side. We'll tell you about the Ayodhya impasse and where it's headed.